morning to all. Asian Business School is pleased to announce Management Development Program, that is MDP series for the year 2019-20 in association with the Institute of Management Consultants of India. These programs would be on chosen management practices and consulting faculty, students, working professionals of different domains and entrepreneurs would be conducting in the form of guest lectures, panel discussions amongst invited dignitaries from the industry, eminent consultants, policymakers of government, entrepreneurs, and reputed academicians. On behalf of Asian Business School, I welcome you all to the Management Development Program on the theme Consulting in Modern Digital Times. And just as any auspicious event starts with remembering the Almighty, we start by invoking the blessings of the Lord. I request all the dignitaries on the dais and the HODs present here to come forward for lamplight.
Thank you so much for making on a Saturday, which is quite difficult, but you would see the regular feature with Asian Education Group. So I'm very excited to be here today, and I would like to thank IMCI for thinking of this program. In fact, me and Dr. Amit were talking about it since long, that we should collaborate together and do something better for the corporate, for the students and the fraternity, so that everybody is benefited. So I'm glad that we are doing the curtain raiser event today as a very first MDP, and you would see an event everyone to come from, and equally the esteemed people on dais, Mr. Vikrant had talent with Vistara Airlines, Shri Jagmohan Rawatji from IMCI, Mr. Tarun Mudgal from Skillsoft, then Dr. Amit Parinja, very close friend, in fact I would say, very well connected to Asian Business School. He has been kind enough to always support us for anything and everything. And Dr. Nubhuti Dwivedi, our Dean for Asian Business School, she has mentored a lot for this MDP and has been kind enough to give many good suggestions. And that's how we would like to start the program. I'm truly honored to receive you all today at Asian Education Group, and we look forward for a very fruitful discussion and followed by the series with IMCI. See, the only reason of doing it is to create value, not just to include an event in Asian Education Group wing. How do we create value is by discussing and then actually implementing it as well. So do not just take this MDP as another discussion which happened. Try to learn these many things from these speakers. You would have very rare opportunity to interact with many intellect and experienced people on one stage. So that's an opportunity for you. So we look forward for a good discussion, looking forward to each one of these speakers. And of course, you should keep writing your questions so that we have a good Q&A in the end. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much.
Let me take this opportunity to felicitate all the guests on the dais. We start with Mr. Vikrant Bhatnagar. Mr. Vikrant Bhatnagar has over 2 decades experience, worked with reputed organizations like PT Education, DDEURG System Limited, Infosys, Bharti Airtel, Tata Communications Limited, and presently working as AYP and Head, Talent Management and Development at Vistara, Tata CIA Airlines Limited, a highly experienced HR professional on a mission to enable people enrich their lives through learning, passionate about creating a positive impact on business through people skills, capability development. He is an ICF certified coach, facilitator, learning tech, and MOOC enthusiast. We welcome you to Asian Business School. Jagmohan Rawat, graduate in engineering and postgraduate in industrial engineering, certified professional in project management professional and information technology infrastructure library. Experience of over 30 years as a management and IT consultant in India and overseas, that is Europe, Asia Pacific, Middle East, for organizations in government, public and private sectors. Started career as Assistant Director in National Productivity Council, worked for 10 years at TCS as a management and IT consultant and led the IS IT strategy planning practice at Delhi. Joined HCL and was founding member of the ERP SAP practice at HCL. Worked for 10 years at HCL and held position of program director when he moved to JK Technology as associate vice president. His last assignment was a program manager at Fujitsu Consulting, that is a Japanese company, until recently in 2019. His area of expertise include program management, project management, ISIT, strategy and business process design with specialization in SCM. Go-live experience of about 10 ERP implementation projects covering all phases of the project life cycle, that is pre-sales, due diligence, requirement analysis and design, build and testing, go-live and support service delivery. He has an overall project management experience of over 16 years. Some of the other experiences include ISIT strategy planning, management consulting, and consulting practice development. He also includes pre-sales experience in formulating project proposals, conducting due diligence, and techno-commercial negotiations. Industry domain experiences include manufacturing in discrete and process, government experiences in PSUs, power health, finance, and retail. We welcome you to Asian Business School. Mr. Tarun Mudgal comes with an industry experience of more than 12 years in various techno-commercial roles. He has held various positions of leading P&L in both technology products and advisory services in organizations like Gartner, VMware, Bharti Airtel and Wipro. Currently, he is responsible for managing the top line of Skillsoft India's strategic and global accounts, representing the biggest revenue footprint for named accounts. He is also part of various global consulting platforms like GLG and Third Bridge, and he keeps visiting a lot of schools for various guest lectures and industry forums. On academic front, he is a telecom engineer and has done his full-time MBA from Ford School of Management in New Delhi. We welcome to Asian Business Schools. Associate Director and Lead at Global Sales Readiness, Corporate Strategy and GTM, Tata Communications Limited. Honors in Technical and Management Professor, KKMAII, Stanford University, USA. Deputy Chairman, the Institute of Management Consultants of India. Globally certified and licensed executive, life coach, management and technology consultant by ICMCI, ICF, and CDC. Global patent, copyright and registered trademark holder in consulting as a service. Member at Harvard Square Leadership Excellence, AIMA, DMA, IMCI, ADMEM, BWA, LICG and IBMRC. Mr. Amit is at the age of 37 is the most distinguished speaker in academia and industry interface. He is a young and dynamic professional with a profile which is blend of academia, consulting, training and corporate. Dr. Parnija has created his mark in the area of consulting by authorizing and consulting business model called CAAS and is part of managing committee and member of various top consulting bodies of India. He has been a trainer to a number of corporate academic institutes of repute. Dr. Parija has imparted knowledge to more than 1 million individuals in one last decade. He has been a professor and coach for various national and international universities of repute in the areas of technology, management and consulting. He has been a successful technology management professional, having worked with top Fortune 500 MNCs and enjoys a great relationship with C-level program at corporate, working with them on turnkey business transformational projects. We welcome you to Asian Business School, sir. Dr. Anubhuti Trivedi is Professor and Associate Dean at Asian Business School. She is a double postgraduate in Economics and Management and has 18 years of experience in postgraduate teaching, research and academic administration. She has various international and national publications to her credit, including 6 books, apart from research papers. Cases developed by her have been published by the Case Center, UK, and a paper on peace economics has been published by IGI Global, USA. She has successfully completed a research project on digital payments adoption in India funded by NSE and New York University Joint Initiative on Indian Financial Markets, and white paper based on the same has been published by New York University and NSE. Her articles on management education in India have been published in the Higher Education Revenue. She has presented papers at various conferences, including those at IIMs and National Stock Exchange. She has been in various administrative positions where she has developed the institutional framework and was at the core of various seminars, conferences, FTPs and MDPs while leading the team. She is on the editorial board of international journals where she has made a major contribution to management and economics research. We welcome you to the session now. I now request Dr. Anubhuti Trivedi, Associate Dean, Asian Business School, to set the theme for today's assembly.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ma'am. So we are here today for a very important program. That's the Management Development Program on Consulting in today's modern digital era. And we have many eminent guests with us, so you've already come to know about them. And you'll be gaining from their insights. I'm very sure that it will gonna help you throughout your career what you learn today. So setting the theme right today, consulting is a dream industry for everyone. Actually, whoever gets into management education is somehow dreaming of being into a consulting firm or opening a consulting firm themselves. But today we are here to give you not only the dreams but also the real things which you need to work upon to get into that industry, to be successful, and to understand the dynamics of this industry, because consulting is something which is not only affecting the businesses but is also getting affected by the businesses. So it's a two-way process. What happens in the consulting industry will ultimately affect all the businesses around, because the ideas that will be generated in this industry, the strategies that will be made by these industries will be affecting all other industries, all other sectors in the economy. And on the other hand, whatever developments are happening in the business environment, how the industry is getting changed, will actually affect the thinking process in the consulting industries. So here we have our eminent guests with us today, and we'll be starting, I'll be requesting Mr. Vikrant to please initiate the discussion.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
We come from the corporates, and in most of the corporate organizations these days, we are all on first name terms. So sir and ma'am is generally not spoken until and unless the individual prefers that, right? So I would prefer to be called Vikrant and not sir. As you can see, I'm on the higher side of age with graying hair and less of hair. That in itself is a reminder enough that I'm aging. If you start calling me sir, then that's a second reminder, which is difficult to handle over a weekend. So I would suggest let's keep on first name terms, and that's the first principle of consulting. Always interact with the client the way he or she would prefer to be interacted with. Okay. With that, let me first of all thank the management of ABS for inviting me. It's both a pleasure and privilege to be here with all of you. I started my career in the finishing school industry, helping students like you crack the group discussions and interviews as a part of their MBA entrance. And as they say, you never forget your first love. The first love is always the most special. So in my case, the first love has been the finishing school industry or teaching. So it's always a great feeling for me to be with the students, with an educational institution. As I'm in learning and development, I continue my association with teaching and learning. I call myself a corporate teacher, but the teacher still stands. I must compliment the institution also for thinking very creatively and coming up with this program or blending a consulting education actually with a proper MBA program, because at the end of the day, everybody who gets into the corporate sector is doing consulting, and why is something which I'll get into a little later. But as we continue to receive students from MBA or from engineering institutions or from B schools in the corporate, we do realize that while they would be up and about as far as academics is concerned, but when it comes to the real life experience, that is something which is missing. Obviously, if you have done your MBA immediately after your graduation, you haven't worked, obviously you will be low on that experience. But providing some inputs related to consulting, I think that is one good step towards ensuring that you have a little more closer to the corporate's experience than just academics. So I must compliment the institution for this creative step that they have taken, and I would encourage all of you to make the best use of this particular opportunity.
Coming back, so I was made to understand that all of you are a group of first year students, and we are still in August, so you have just about started your curriculum. And as a result of that, my effort in this whatever 10-15 minutes that I'm going to interact with you would be to try and keep it simple, keep it de-jargonized, right? Not use very heavy terms, and somewhere demystify this entire thing about consulting and digital for you. And let me start with a joke which is there on B school campuses, and probably you might have also heard. They say that those who can do become entrepreneurs, those who can't become consultants, right? So, but that's a joke, right? And that does not dilute the importance that consultants have in every walk of life, right? So whether we are talking to a teacher is a consultant. He solves a problem for you, and the problem is how can you become a great citizen, a great human being, a great professional, right? You talk to a doctor, he is a consultant. You talk to an engineer, he is a consultant, right? And back at home, for those of us who are married, the wife is a consultant, right? Of course, you can't be a consultant to your wife, of course, so that doesn't hold true, but that's on the lighter side of things. But coming back, as I say that we have consultants in every walk of life. Everybody is a consultant to that extent. And in corporates, when we talk of, while consulting is a domain in itself, but everybody who is working in the corporate sector, I would call them consultants without a title, right? So then there are consultants who are with a title, right? Like Tarun has been and still is today. He's a consultant with a title. Today the products and services that he brings to organizations like mine, he solves a certain problem for us, right? And then there are people like me who work on the other side of the table, who for most part of our day are actually doing nothing but what is consulting, right? We consult internally with our colleagues, and we work with people like Tarun to collectively consult and create solutions for our internal clients, which is the business, which is salespeople, or customer service people, or marketing people, or engineers, or whosoever, right? So then you must be wondering, what am I saying? So why is it that everybody is a consultant is what I feel? Is because if you see what is consulting, and if you were to be answering this question in one line, consulting is nothing but structured problem solving, right? And this is not my definition. This is the definition of one of the partners of McKinsey. And if there is one organization which is credited to making consulting what it is today by providing it such a big name and fame and providing a structure to it and making it so embedded in our lives today, that organization is McKinsey, right? And this gentleman, who has been one of the founding partners of McKinsey, has written a very great book, and I would encourage all of you to read these two books of his. One is The McKinsey Way, which is about structured problem solving, and the other is The McKinsey Mind, which is about the analytics related to the structured problem solving. So he says that consulting is nothing but structured problem solving, right? And what is digital? And digital, according to me, is disruptive problem solving, right? So let's take an example. Today is Saturday. At 6 a.m. We receive a call. My wife gets a call on her mobile, and this is our cooking maid, right? She says she's not well, she's not going to turn up today. And as a family, we have a very busy Saturday today, right? So my wife has her own schedule. My daughter has a dance class, and she is preparing for a maths test on Monday. We have a family get together in the evening, which I would not be able to attend because I have to fly to Udaipur, which is my hometown. So we have a very busy day, and my concern was, she's not going to turn up, what are you going to do? And my daughter gets up and she says, it's going to be a Swiggy day. Right? Now what has Swiggy done to us? And what is Swiggy to us today? It's a consultant. It solves a problem, right? And it is solving the problem using digital. That app which you see, which you use, is a digital app. It's all about digital coming together for people like you and me to solve a problem, and the problem is the cooking maid not turning up and the family members not having the time to be able to cook. Sometimes it's also willingness, right? So it solves the problem, and it not just solves the problem of providing food, it solves the problem of providing very specific food also. So if my wife is not very keen on South Indian and she wants to have Chinese, my daughter wants to have a pizza, and maybe I want to have some healthy food like a salad, it can actually provide all these three to all of us at the touch of a button, right? That's what I call as disruptive problem solving. It has inverted the entire model of food delivery on its head and make it so convenient to customers. So on one end, when we say what is consulting, it's problem solving. And to that extent, as a result of that, each one of us are problem solvers and hence consultants, right? And on the other side, what is digital doing? Digital is also solving a problem. So it would not be an exaggeration to say that consulting and digital are actually, in today's world, synonyms of each other, right? And as a result of that, whatever formal consulting you see today has a critical component of digital in it. So any life problem that you see today, actually its solution has a digital component. Right from the problem of, let's say, water scarcity or appropriate usage of water, all the way to a defense problem. Right from the problem of studying for your 10th examinations and getting good marks or cracking a particular entrance examination, all the way to doing a PhD and very high-end research. And even in our personal lives, even a problem like family members being far apart. My mom stays in Udaipur and she splits time between Udaipur and Delhi. But when she is feeling alone in Udaipur and misses my daughter, all she has to do is a WhatsApp video call, right? That's digital. That's also solving a problem. So every problem today has a digital component in its solution. And as a result of that, whatever consulting is happening today has a huge contribution of digital. So much so that today you can't actually think of a solution without digital. The top 5 consulting companies in the world, McKinsey, the PwCs, the EYs of the world, the Deloitte, the Accentures of the world, all have a strong digital arm as a part of their entire consulting practice. In fact, today, there are more IT organizations under courts than being conventional consulting organizations. Today, if I'm a startup and I don't have, let's say, an HR process, and I get a consulting firm to consult me, all they are going to do is, they are not going to create processes for me. They are not going to create those long charts and say, okay, first this happens and then this happens, and if this happens then this is the outcome. No, they are just going to say, okay Vikrant, these are 5 different ERPs which are available in HR. ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning, right? So which is essentially a package for HR, for finance, or whatever it is. It says, okay, here are 5 different HR solutions. You evaluate them, we will help you evaluate them, and choose the one which suits your needs the best, depending upon your size, the money that you can invest, the number of people that you have to use it for, etc., etc., and we'll implement it for you. They are solving a problem for me. I don't have HR systems and processes. They are solving. But what they are essentially doing is, they are not creating processes, they are implementing a digital solution for me. So that's another thing that you may want to keep in mind, that today when you are thinking of consulting, you must always think digital first, right? Now, why should you do that? It's simply because of the fact that when we are talking digital, digital has the capability to be able to create processes which have not been thought of earlier, right? So let's talk of this big phenomenon which is happening, which is called shared economy. Is anybody aware of this particular term, shared economy? Okay, so what is shared economy? It's an economy which is shared, right? This is how you think, right? Even if you don't know, the answer lies in the English, right? It's an economy which is shared, or it's an economy which is created out of shared products and services. So now can you think what is shared economy? Give me an example of a product or a service from the shared economy, if you have understood. Think. How will you be solving problems if you don't think?
So we can take the example of Swiggy, as you said, they don't have any own restaurant, but they serve their products.
Absolutely. So that's one. What else?
Ola.
Uber, Airbnb, all of them are examples of shared economy. And some time back, I was reading in Times of India, they have also started these cutlery banks. Some people who have got some very fine cutlery, they are ready to rent it out because they don't use that cutlery every day. And you have a party and you want to, show off that you have some very great cutlery. No need to buy, just go and rent it, right? That's shared economy, right? Now, does that mean that shared economy was not there earlier? It was there. But what digital has done is, that has taken it to a totally different level. So when we come back to this entire thing about shared economy, what digital has done is actually change the entire way some of these things were happening earlier. So for example, if you needed to have a food delivered at your place for a party, and you had 5 different restaurants, what you would do? First of all, when I was young, and of course I was young at some point of time, my mom would write down all these phone numbers in a telephone diary. Okay, so Angu bhai, Changu bhai, jalebi wala, then Mangu, Teli, who would come and cook and all that stuff, right? So you would make 10 different calls through that particular physical diary. Then later on, times changed. We lost the habit of remembering names. I used to be very proud that I used to be very proud that I could remember 50 phone numbers. Okay, but now we lost that habit. It would be good if we remember our own phone number also, right? But okay, that's on the lighter side. But things changed, so that became digital. Okay, so it came on this mobile phone. But still, you had to make those 10 calls, invite 10 different people, and manage the whole thing. Now what has happened? You don't have to do anything. Zomato does it for you, Swiggy does it for you, right? You don't have to remember anything. You don't have to even store a phone number. All you need to do is have it on the app. That's it. You just have an app. You just feed in the data that you require. That's it. It's done. So what has happened is that it has changed the entire perspective of how a service line is, how a supply chain is, how a product gets created, how it gets delivered, and how it gets consumed by the customer, right? So as a result of that, the entire practice of consulting has also changed, right? Earlier, if Tarun, who is with Skillsoft, he would come to me and say, okay, we do training programs in the classroom, and this is how we do, and then I also have to manage a whole lot of those things. Today he would come and say, we have a portal which has got 4,500 courses. We just plug it for you. You give me the money today, we plug it for you tomorrow, and day after tomorrow, your people can access 4,500 courses. 4,500? More than that, yeah. And they keep on adding. Every day they would be adding new courses. But I don't have to worry about anything. I just have to go to that particular site and I would find new courses and I can access them. That's the paradigm shift which has happened. Now, it all sounds great and it looks like digital is next to Lord Vishnu, right? But there's a catch. Because if digital was next to Lord Vishnu, then life would have been hunky-dory, we would have all attained nirvana. But that doesn't happen, unfortunately. So what are those things, and I would close with this, what are those things that you need to keep in mind while still holding digital as the most prominent thing? The first thing that you need to keep in mind is, okay, when we were talking digital has a lot of different connotations. The way I look at digital is, it's IT, which is information technology, plus SMACI. Okay, and what is SMACI? It is social, mobile, analytics, and cloud, and Internet of Things. So 5 terms, of course, these are jargon. If you don't know about them, go ahead, Google it, read about them, right? So conventional information technology coupled with SMACI becomes your digital, right? So you add a social element to it by which people are able to interact, right? Let's say a Facebook or a WhatsApp, right? You add a mobile component to it, which is mobility, not just a mobile phone, anything like a tab or any mobile device. Analytics, because so that you can actually see how it is being used, where you may need to make an intervention. Cloud, it is all resided on cloud and not on your premises that you have to invest for IT servers, etc. And Internet of Things, which are essentially smart devices which are connected through the internet. You see those ads, right? That you get into the car and you are 15 minutes away and through your mobile phone you can actually switch on the AC at your home so that by the time you reach, the AC is and the home is cool. So that's Internet of Things, right? So IT plus SMACI is digital, right? So what is it that you need to keep in mind? What you need to keep in mind, first thing is, while digital is all great, but it's also a twin-edged sword, right? It has its challenges. One of the challenges we all see is we are so tuned to WhatsApp that our attention span has gone down. We can't think of life without WhatsApp and so on and so forth. So it has its own flip sides. So whenever you are looking at a digital solution or solving a client's problem using a digital solution, also think that what would be the pitfalls that would happen, and as a result of that, what is the solution that you have to provide for that. Then your solution is going to be a holistic one, otherwise it would remain a digital solution which nobody is going to use. So that's one. The second thing is that, let's come back to, as you know, I'm a foodie, right? By now you would have discovered. Let's come back to Swiggy, okay? So you created Swiggy, you put it over there, everything is great, it's a great digital solution, it's intuitive, it works very well, it's fast, it is integrated with a payment ecosystem, everything is there. But then, still Swiggy fails, suppose, okay? Why would it fail if everything is so good about that particular app? Think? Sorry?
Environmental factors.
Sorry?
Environmental factors and political factors.
Mental factors.
Political and environmental factors.
Political and environmental factors, okay, like what?
Like in case government just banned that.
Like maybe Mr. Modi is not a fan of Swiggy, so he says ban Swiggy. Is that so? Okay, okay. What else? Stiff competition, okay. Let's say Swiggy doesn't have a competition. There's nobody else who has been able to replicate it, still fails.
Maybe a quality service.
Right.
Sir, when they add a restaurant in app, they check the quality of food, but after that they don't check the quality of food, and restaurant starts making a low quality of food to serve.
Okay, absolutely. So the product which it is meant to cater to, that product is not good. Okay, so maybe it's not the good quality, maybe it's not cooked in the right hygienic way, maybe the delivery of the food is not appropriate, it's not packed well, it comes late, etc., etc. Right? That's the reason it would fail. Customers would say, no, I don't want to order from Swiggy. Right? Imagine Diwali day, you thought that I'm not going to cook, I'll order from Swiggy. Swiggy said 1 hour, it took 3 hours. You would say, next time I'm not going to order from Swiggy. Right? So the core product still continues. So you come from, this institution comes from a media background. In media they say content is the king. Right? So here also the core product is always the king. The digital would make it better, it would make it disrupted, it would take it to a next level, it would facilitate, etc., etc. But if the core product is not good, no matter how great the digital component is, it's not going to survive. So for you, the key takeaway I would encourage you to have is that while you may think digital, but always think of what is the core product, what is the core problem that you are trying to solve. And in that process also, build your own core capability. Whether it's analytics, whether it's the management processes, whether it is anything else, build your own core capability. Without that core capability, no matter how great institution you come from, what great family background that you have, what great tags that you have on your resume, none of those things are going to work until and unless you have a core product. So, which takes me back to Tom Peters' In Search of Excellence, the great Bible of management, where he talks about the organizations which have a core capability are the ones that are going to survive today as well as tomorrow. So in a way, it's back to basics. And that has been my small attempt at demystifying digital consulting, the relationship between the two, and despite the fact that no matter how much we progress, there are certain fundamentals which would always remain there. And that is why that famous saying is there, that the more the things change, the more they remain the same. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vikrant, for your insights. As we deal with the core competency thing, I think Tarun has with the skill development part more, like focused on so many courses and how consulting has evolved over time, what type of skill development is now required, and what type of thinking is going on now. So I would like you to please enlighten us on that.
Sure. I have a bad throat, so pardon me for a little heavy bass. Firstly, it's always a very, very good feeling just to be coming to any academic campus back. There's a different vibe. And obviously, you tend to learn from the peers who are sitting with you. So I would like to thank Dr. Anubhuti, Ravi for inviting us and having us over. I think I was very keenly listening to a lot of things that Vikrant was sharing, and thankfully, if you pick few of the takeaways, they can be very, very good for you, especially when you're now thinking about planning your careers in a way and direction that you would be moving. So thanks Vikrant. I think I fortunately come from a background where I've worked with various industries as such. I've worked with product companies, I've worked with pure play research and services company, advisory as you would say. And thereby I've kind of picked up a lot of inputs from various organizations I've worked with, various players, I've kind of vendors and ecosystem that I've kind of been part of. So I'm lucky that way. Maybe I'll try to again de-jargonize few of the things when it comes to the overall consulting businesses, how really they work, and what exactly is it there for you, and what exactly is this whole phenomena of digital transformation. That in fact within the industry we keep saying that that's the most abused word these days. Everyone talks about digital transformation. Even somebody would be selling water would say we are enabling digital transformation in some ways. So that's somewhere a very critical element for you to understand where exactly is this whole digital ecosystem going on. And I thank Vikrant for demystifying few of these terms, and he actually rightly put in. I would probably take few elements and delve deeper and probably elaborate whatever my experience has been. So thankfully with my experience working at Gartner, which was my previous organization, I got the access to a lot of research and advisory stuff which was happening globally around different technology domains, as well as the models, the business models which are evolving, and this whole digital ecosystem, how it is kind of evolving. There was some very, very good inputs that we kept hearing from a lot of the senior leaders when it came to both the technology startups, the vendors, or the technology services companies themselves. So I'd probably pick up few areas and elaborate more. So when we talk about this whole digital transformation, let's try to understand what exactly is this whole transformation all about. We now talk about this being a fourth industrial revolution. At the onset, there is technology which is changing a lot of things. Now everyone is kind of talking about this disruption, transformation, but what exactly is that core thing which is changing? So let's understand. Typically there are just two main elements which are really changing for any businesses, if you see. When we talk about the digital transformation, the first thing which changes is either adding or augmenting the existing business or revenue model for any organization. Now let's understand what exactly is that I'm trying to understand. So when we talk about adding or augmenting any business model, you got some of the examples from Vikrant here when he was talking earlier. So just try to understand and see the top 3 companies market capitalization wise globally. They would be Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, right? Let's pick Amazon and Apple. Apple do not manufacture anything. It outsources everything to Foxconn, Viscon and the likes. They do not create apps for you also. They just create a platform where the app developers come and create apps for you. by the way, their overall revenue model from making people come to that platform and create apps also crosses more than $2 billion annually, right? Eventually, they're just a digital organization which is putting up all these pieces together, stitching it and making a very valid and viable product for everyone, which they would be aspiring for. Amazon, they were, in fact, there is a very, very good story about Amazon that every time it acquires a company and it pays a certain money, it gains double the amount through an uplift in the market capitalization within 3 months. So that's how he is kind of creating that ecosystem. He doesn't own any product that he is selling right now. He just creates a platform. That shared economy which Vikrant was referring to works very well for these kind of digital businesses. So when we're talking about this overall change in terms of the business models or revenue models for the organizations, I'm sure you've now taken first few lessons into marketing and must have gone through that 4 P's of marketing, that typical concept that everyone kind of learns very initial days in the marketing. I just elaborate on one particular element here. The 1 P which really changes dramatically with the advent of digital technologies for any businesses is the place, the availability. You talk about even the learning, so to say, and Vikrant was talking about how we've moved from the classroom-based trainings to online. So the availability of learning, nobody needs to now go to a Stanford to actually understand what the Stanford professors would be teaching them. They can probably get aligned to a MOOC platform, go through a few of the courses, try to understand what exactly is the intellectual property being delivered in a Stanford campus. So overall, this whole augmentation of business model when it comes to digital technologies, the place is that P that is changing the maximum. The other element of this whole digital technology or digital transformation, which is again important for the organization to understand and delve deeper, is changing the customer experience. So that's the second most important element. Either it is through various digital channels, it's engaging the customers. Now let's take an example of banks. How banking has evolved over the ages and where exactly the technology has kind of taken a big shape. I don't remember myself going to a bank branch for the past 1 or 2 years, and I would hold that true for most of the people here. Probably 10 years back, if you tell people to do banking without going to a bank branch, it was something which was very unthinkable. Now, what has really made that change? That again is the technology. You have those applications on your mobile phone, you can do mobile banking, you can do, in fact, there are banks like Citibank and Standard Chartered who would charge extra service charges if you would actually visit the branch. They want you to actually use the technology which is there at the, at your disposal to actually change the way you experience the whole services. So overall, the time to experience, the convenience, and overall the customer experience has changed dramatically because of the technology. So these two major elements are, the crux of this whole digital transformation. You take out any business model and everyone is trying to understand where exactly is that direction that they need to change further. What is that augmentation that they need to bring in? And that actually affects the two major elements for any businesses. One is the top line, the revenues, and the other is the bottom line, the margins. When you kind of take care of the customer experience, the customer services, you make sure that customer stickiness is there for the business, the margins would increase. If you augment or add new revenue models by using digital technologies, you make sure that the top line of business is kind of increasing. We'll take one more example. I've been very closely associated, and so is Vikrant and Amit with telecom industry. So when we were growing up, I think when we used to talk about the music companies in India, the companies which used to own music. The typical names that used to come into our minds were Saregama, T-Series, yeah, and then suddenly the whole landscape changed and emerged in a way. The biggest music company I think 3 years back was Wink by revenue. Currently it would be Jio Music or Wink and Ghana.com or Savan. You're right. So the whole, exactly, HMV, we used to hear so much about HMV and Venus, and it's not there. So the whole paradigm and the ecosystem has completely changed. Wink in fact is a separate business model for Airtel. So is the Jio apps. That data-driven business model is an example of how addition has happened because of the digital transformation. Now everyone is kind of constantly looking at the possibilities of adding or augmenting any of the revenue models through technology. However, the important element still remains the same, which Vikrant was talking. The core product is still the king. That's where you'd see we took examples of Ola and Uber, and till recently we know that they never used to own any kind of asset themselves. All they used to provide is a platform. However, last 2 years, the major investment for both Ola and Uber is acquiring cars, leasing them to drivers, and then controlling the end product. Zomato, in fact, started with a pilot of opening up kitchens in Pune almost 3 years back. Now they would be doing this for food delivery in almost all the major cities. So that is the backward and forward integration most of these digital businesses would also do. Why? Because they would want to control the outcome of the core product itself, which really can disrupt if they do not think likewise. Now I talk about one element of the consulting and why consultants are really needed for any businesses. Everyone, and I used to be very intrigued that the businesses invest so much into getting some senior leaders who are very professional, very much coming with a body of work and experience. Why can't they take their own decisions rather than relying on somebody else coming from outside and telling them what to do in their business? That's a very important question I used to ask myself. And then I realized over the years that the cost of making a bad or a wrong decision for any organization is humongous. It goes up to millions and billions of dollars at times. So the important factor is to keep validating what your decisions are by third-party perspective. You'd invite consultants, come share your information about the businesses that you're doing, do a lot of deep dive in terms of giving them information about how your plans are, and then trying to understand what are the best practices, how this is being done by somebody else in the industry. What McKinsey's or BCG's actually do is create those models where they would take a lot of information from their clients, put it in those models, and then derive some actionable objectives and outcomes which the organizations can take forward. What it helps is, it validates. It may be exactly the same thing which most of the senior leaders might be thinking, but they would need that validation from somebody coming from outside, telling them that yes, this is the right direction for you to be putting in this $1 million that you're planning to. That's one of the important elements. Now, I'd also talk a brief about what are these key elements when it comes to the digital economy as such. There are 4 elements what Gartner's research majorly used to put digital businesses as. The first element is the speed and agility of any business. That's where you kind of see a lot of transformation happening on the way the organization structures and processes would work. They would want to streamline and trim down the number of processes, systems, create that system where people feel they're part of the startup culture within the large setups. Why? Because they want the decision making to be fast. Typically, a Gartner research says that for any services company, if the time from ideation to time to market is more than 45 days, the product would never make money. It would never make money. So imagine when you are working almost backward with this kind of timelines of, from ideation to actually delivering and even understanding the go-to-market channels and delivering that to the customers within 45 days, speed becomes a very, very important element of planning and delivering any kind of services to the business and the consumers. The other is the customer centricity. We're talking about how business models are evolving, but we also realize that for us, the stickiness as a consumers is just not there. If, say for instance, I get a better discount on Zomato, I would probably order from Zomato than Swiggy. So my loyalty towards Swiggy or Zomato is not because of the convenience or how beautiful the app is, how much discount I'm getting on my purchase. So there is no stickiness. So if the organizations themselves doesn't become a customer centric in the way they devise the product services, then they would always be somewhere lacking and getting to disrupt their own businesses. The other important element what we talk about digital businesses is data centricity. Data, everyone now says data is the new oil. It's a very important phrase we keep hearing these days, that Google, we use Google Maps, we use Google search engine, everything is for free. And few of the leading analysts told me that Tarun, there is no free lunches in this world. If you are getting something for free, then trust me, you're the product. So that whole piece of data being the next oil, culminates from the fact that there are so many business models just originating from the shared, data, augmented data, and taking some analytics, making some business models and usages and case studies and putting it to a new business model. So that data centricity for every organization is very, very important, very critical. Say for instance, we're talking about Asian business food. Just try to understand what is the new, business model we can come up. There must be, n number of applications which would be coming every year for people who would be applying to a PGD course at Asian Business School. Of that, say for instance, approximately only 10% of them are finally selected and are able to make it. The rest 90% are actually going somewhere and doing something else. If I probably take up a data, all those 90 people, and probably think about a digital product of delivering the courses to the rest of the 90% people, maybe 20% of the people would take it, and that's another new business model, which comes from the fact that I have a data at place and I play and analyze that and come up with something which can create a new business model for me. And the last portion, which again Vikrant also referred to, was about the shared economy. It's called platformization, creating synergies. You want to create synergies with standardized platforms which can deliver multiple revenue business models for you. You want those kind of ideations to happen, and that's where there is so much of stress on innovation these days with all the organizations. You want people to think out of the box, to understand that within the same set of platform that I have, what are the new revenue models that I can create. That is where the companies are actually putting in money in terms of training. You hear about this term called design thinking. That's exactly where it kind of takes you to. Just to understand that there is a set resources there in front of you. What more you can do which is not there on the table That is something which is a very, very key element of digital business.
So I hope I was able to somewhere de-jargonize or declutter your mind when it comes to a lot of this digital transformation, technology and businesses. So thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. As you talked of integration, so I was just reminded that there was a time when we were thinking that Big Bazaar and when Flipkart and Snapdeal and Amazon was coming up in a big way, so we were thinking, everyone was thinking actually, Shorbiyani himself was worried, like how the brick and mortar model would be, functioning along with these online shopping portals. And today we see Big Bazaar selling through Paytm. So that's how competitors are integrating, because digital platforms today, digital era is something which is a compulsion, a boon, as well as Vikrant said, we need to see the flip side also. But it is something which no company can go without now, no organization can go without a digital transformation perhaps. So I would like to request Mr. Rawat to enlighten us on this, that like we see that certain organizations fail because they are not taking up digital, while certain fail because the digital transformations are not put in place in the right manner. So we would like you to please discuss on these points with us.
Okay, it's a tough call after listening half an hour, I don't know. How many are awake? Can you hear me the last show? Yes. Oh, good. All the way, fine. So are you more confused or more clear about what we are talking about? You are very clear about it. Okay. So the title was Consulting in Modern Digital Times. Okay. So if you are very clear, then let me know what is modern about it. Anyone? Obviously, we would like to know what is modern about it. We have talked to so many modern things. Both the eminent speakers have talked a lot many things and concepts. So anyone who would like to summarize what is modern about it that we talked?
Digitalization of everything.
Pardon?
Digitalization of everything.
Digitalization of everything.
Commerce, banking.
Like sir has talked about the city and apps.
Okay.
AI economy. The sales platform, booking platforms.
How the platform is
Okay.
made to meet the demands of consumers.
All right. Okay, fine. Well, in part, yes, but let's see. You are all MBA students or doing business studies?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, what does the business exist for? Profits? Okay. Anything else? Expansion, growth. What about an NGO? It's an organization, right? It's not a business, okay, in that sense, but it's an organization. So there is an organization, it has certain objectives, right? Now, as you said, it exists for certain, Tarun also mentioned this top line and bottom line. Both have to be maintained. You want a market share, the revenues, and you also want to be profitable at the same time. Now the business, that is the business model, right? I mean, this is the business purpose. And businesses existed 100 years ago also. They exist even today. The objective remains the same. They also want to make profit 100 years back. They also want to make profit even now. They want to increase market share. Earlier also, they wanted to increase market share even now. Okay, so what has changed? What is modern in this?
So making things.
Way of operating a business. Okay, let me get you back to say this. We are in industry 4, right? Industry 4. So that means there have been 3 industries earlier. Industry 1, 2, 3. So industry 1 we know where the industrialization started. Industry 2 is where mass production started, right? And industry 3 where computerization started, right? And now we are in industry 4. Now computerization actually started digitalization, as you said. Somebody said digitization, right? 0 and 1. Computer talks of 0 and 1, 2 bits only, right? So computerization started digitization. And now industry 4 we are calling digitalization. So there is a difference. Digitization and digitalization. So what's different or what's modern? In the industry, say version 2.0, before computerization, there was mass production, right? And say company wanted was producing certain goods, and we were pushing into the market. We wanted to increase the market share. Economics with background, we talk of factors of production, right? So what are the factors of production? सबको रटा हुआ है. Land, capital, what? Entrepreneur. Land, capital, entrepreneur, and labor. Okay. So factors of production remain the same, or is there a change? What happened to the land? We talked of companies which don't own anything. Do they own land? But you have to operate internet in internet area, so you are holding a space somewhere. Maybe on a SharePoint, website or cloud. That's your land today. Right? Land was given by nature, that's a natural resource. Right? You still may have land to operate your office. But the cost of land, the land was limited earlier, now it is practically unlimited. Okay, and the costs have gone down. That is one. The second was labor. What happened to the labor?
The cost of labor increased with time. Cost of
What happened to the labor earlier and labor now?
More of the automations.
We are okay. To give you, considering time, now we heard of robotics. So what is happening? Robots are replacing labor. In fact, that is going to be next week. Okay? Robotics. There are, implications, repercussions of that, but we will not get into that. But there is some automation. Even the human labor is being replaced. But it can replace only certain standard tasks. It cannot replace your intelligence, right? Or artificial intelligence can replace human beings?
no sir.
You cannot, because AI is again a software.
Yes sir.
Who is preparing software? The mankind, human being. So you need a human brain which is continuously learning and adapting. So AI is just a software modeling of that, whatever logical model that you use to operate, right? So land we talk, labor is being replaced, the robotics, but we will still need labor for their thinking abilities. That brings us to the entrepreneurship. We don't know when robotics will become entrepreneur, robots. But as of now, the enterprise, even enterprise, it's a continuously learning organization as a human being, and that remains. And there was one more, capital, right? So we talk of capital is machinery basically, right? And human capital. We talk of human capital, that is intelligence. So labor and capital, labor is standard input, and the capital is the intelligence part of it. And then the automation, technology, in short technology. Machinery is nothing but a manifestation of your learning knowledge in form of technology, right? So we had all the four components, we have even now four components. Now if you look at the changes, where the changes are happening fastest, the technology. Clear? So technology is what is happening, the digitalization happened, right? Is that correct? The labor, what is happening in the computerization, we said 0-1, so the focus was on operational efficiency, right? We wanted to automate certain processes so that your productivity goes up, your operational efficiency goes up. Now with the coming of digitalization or Industry 4, there has been a paradigm shift, which both our eminent speakers touched upon. And you know what is that? There is one fundamental change which has happened from the Industry 2 and 3 to Industry 4. You are all MBA graduates. Have you heard of Copernicus revolution? Okay. 1 month ago. Okay, fine. Now you heard of Copernicus, forget revolution. You heard of Copernicus? Who was he? What did he do? He talked of revolution, physical revolution. So what does Copernicus do? Now earlier in the ages, we used to say the sun goes around the earth. And what did Copernicus say? Earth goes around the sun. Correct? So that is Copernicus revolution in management. Now what does it mean? Till now we used to say there is a company, right? And the customers are being served by you are an organization business, you are producing products and you are pushing products to customers who are there to buy, and you want to allure them. How do you allure them? 4 P's. You want market share, you want the mind share, you want them to make sales, right? That is what happened. Copernicus revolution. What will happen?
Customers are running the market. Customers are running.
Customer is at the center now. Customer is at the center, and there are companies around it who are competing for his attention, and that is what happens to you on WhatsApp, social media. You see ads, they want your attention, right? Mr. Tarun talked of place. So where is the customer now? He is in virtual space. You put a big hoarding of a product, and the customer is doing like this below the hoarding. He is not seeing the ad there. He is seeing the ad here. You get my point? So those investments ads are no more relevant, gone. Your customer is in virtual space today. 80-90%. You see the penetration of mobile apps, right? So that is one. Your attention span, if you don't like it, you will skip. You want him to make sale also online immediately, right? If it does not appeal to you, your ad or your offer, within 10 seconds you will switch. Your attention span is not more than 10 seconds. And if you are downloading something, the download speed takes more than say 1 minute, you will close it. Okay? So you are the customer. All the companies are trying to catch your attention, right? To catch your mind share and try to prompt you to make a transaction online. Okay? Now how has this happened? This has happened. Now this didn't happen just because somebody came and said no to prompt all the customers to the center. Did it happen overnight? It doesn't. It doesn't happen that way, right? So how did it happen? The technology made it possible. Okay, just try to understand. What made it possible? The technology. After the internet and then the social media, right? And all this happened in last 10 years. The first revolution lasted more than 100 years. The second revolution, which probably started in 1900, lasted till about 1950s or 60s, and then 50 years. The third revolution, computerization, started in 60s, maybe 2000 or 2005, another 40 years, and Industrial Revolution 4 has happened now. It is still happening. We don't know where it is taking us. We don't know where it is taking us. So it is mind-boggling right now. So what has happened is, it is the technology which has driven this, which has made it possible. And today customer is deciding what kind of products you have. He is giving 3-star, 4-star ratings, right? By word of mouth, it becomes viral, his comments become viral, and your product is gone overnight. Now, fundamental change. The earlier companies which are big wigs, and we took few names there, companies which are market leaders, right? Where is their competition today? A car manufacturer, for example, if he is trying to make a business planning or corporate planning, a business strategy, right? Does he And all of us, were taught about competitor analysis, right? Competitive analysis, right? Find the competition, what is his market share, what is his customer share. But who is the competitor? That's a big problem today. The competitor may be somebody who doesn't exist. Your tomorrow's competitor after 2 years may be somebody who doesn't even exist today. Try to understand this. Does it make sense? Yes. Your competitor even doesn't Uber and over it. Some of the businesses were wiped out. Right? So where does what do you identify the competitor? That's a big challenge. Right? So you have to be continuously monitoring what is happening in the ecosystem or market. The supply chain has become digitalized. There is a collaboration happening, right? The technology is driving a lot of things. So that is why startups, innovations, right? So very important. Now, madam asked me, so there are a lot of companies therefore realize that we must do something, right? We must do something. There is a lot of digitalization happening. Maybe $2 trillion are being budgeted for digitalization effort, and we are going ahead with digitalization. A lot of digitalization, 80%. Can you believe more than 80% digitalization projects, as per some study, have failed. They are not yielding the desired results. A lot of investments are going on. Why are they failing? Only 30% say, or maybe less than 30%, that they are somewhere near expectation, but they are not yet stabilized. So there is a lot of hype going on. First we have to understand there is a difference between digitization and digitalization. Okay, digitalization about business transformation. The entire business, new models are coming up. The technology is making it happen that way. It is no more optimizing. It is no more that you optimize your efficiencies, you optimize your processes, right? It is something creating new business models altogether. Okay? There's a fundamental change. New types of businesses are coming up, which were never happening earlier, happened earlier. Okay, so that is one difference. The second thing, as I said, is to understand in this effort where is it all taking us to. So if you see, the failure rate is very high, and there were some studies done, and there were about in 2019 only the May report came in May, I think, KPMG report. There are around 12 reasons. They categorized into 3 categories. One is, out of 12 reasons, 5 reasons. How many reasons do you think were technology related? There are business related, there are technology related, and there are some others. As I said, what is driving this digitalization? Technology, right? You need to understand technology. That is very important if you want to survive in next wave. So these technologies, we all talk of big data, we are talking data analytics, we are talking AI, we are talking IoT, right? So as business graduate, you need to understand what the technology is doing, right? So there are technical reasons, technology reasons, there are business reasons, and there are some other reasons. How many reasons do you think are technology related? The most of the reasons for digitalization projects not yielding results are related to business. Strategy. The digitalization strategy itself is not conceived well. Somebody says, oh, we are doing IoT, I am doing, that's not digitalization. You are creating a product, putting a technology, but is it giving you the business metrics? Startups have said. Is it giving the business metrics? No, just putting a website doesn't give you results. Just putting a website or app, you click and you track your status is not going to yield results. Mr. Tarun also mentioned. At the same time, there has to be back-end systems in place, ERP systems in place, which will track your operations. Then only you are able to put it on the web, right? Just putting a request on the web, when my delivery will happen or what kind of. So is not going to give you results. So there has to be, backend has to be strong, infrastructure also has to be strong, right? So now the single most reason for failure or lack of success has been the lack of understanding what is business transformation all about. And this is based on survey of the CEOs and CIOs. When they were interviewed, right, 40% were not clear what they are doing. Believe me, you are not the only one who are confused. People who are getting high paid salary, they are also confused. We don't know what we are doing. We are talking about business transformation, or are we talking about optimization, are we talking about business results? There is a CFO because there is a fund involved. He says, no, how much, my cost will go down because of this project. It is not about cost reduction, Baba, it is about creating new markets. But he doesn't understand that because he has to finance the project. So how is he getting convinced that this investment is going to give new customers or new market share or very different? So there is a lot of confusion happening there. It is your new opportunities that we are talking, new business models that we are creating. The simple finance person will not understand that. Accountant who is going to approve. Because he is interested, if I am spending 100 rupees, how much I am getting back. And it's very difficult to project. So there is a lot of confusion even at the strategy stage. IS and IT strategy or business strategy. We are going to study a lot of corporate planning and all that. So that is one area of the consulting. Where you can relate directly where the consulting inputs or consultants can help. Okay, that is one area to demystify or to give you a kind of proper strategy. The purpose of digitalization, what it is going to do your business and how you. And the second thing was how and how to go about doing. The second reason was the second is about technology, which technologies to use. Now a lot of people, when a CIO sits in the office or IT person, right, they are also not educated. They are also slightly high level. Sales people go to them and push their products. It's the sales people who are educating. If you go to a typical IT manager or CIO, he wants to understand, so you call 4 vendors. Okay, please explain me. So he gets learned. So his learning is from those vendors, right? And whosoever is the best seller gets the order. But does it help the business? We don't know. So if I become Microsoft, fan, or you become technology fans. So I like a particular technology. So there is a trap, technology trap. There is a technology trap. The people who are deciding themselves do not know about technology, and they are going to spend. They are going to implement projects. So who is going to help them? Consultants are. Right? So technology and the choice of technologies essentially. And the third and most important, if you have decided about your strategy, you have chosen the technology, now you are going to implement it. Third is implementation, the big challenge. The most reasons for failures, majority are, number 1, gone are the days of big bang. These days are agile. You heard of this term? Short implementations, because nobody is going to wait for a product which will come next year. I want a product which will come in 3 years, 3 months, because after 3 months that product may become obsolete, because I have to add new features. Airlines or all these people, they are adding every time new features. You see new features, new functionalities coming up in all your apps. They are happening like this every week, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So the minimum cycle is 1 week. There are websites, products, services where the updations are happening weekly. New features are coming up. So nobody is going to wait long. So that means there has to be a team of consultants or technology people or business people who understand the requirements, who translate into technology solution and do it pretty fast. Are able to do it pretty fast. It's iterative now. It is not that I have given you something and I'll get something. What is the implication? As budding managers for future or as consultants, you have to learn to work in ambiguity. That's the bottom line. Nobody is going to give you very clear specifications. Okay? So this is an ambiguous world. The more you adapt yourself to take decisions in ambiguity, that is going to help you. even in your first interview. You know point? So agile implementation. The second is change management. There is a lot of resistance to change, organization change management. You will hear about it. Human resource people, if there are HR people who understand this better, the change management is a big subject in itself. How to make people acceptable. So we used to talk of literacy, then we used to talk of computer literacy, and now we have started talking about digital literacy. It is more than computer literacy. Digital literacy. How many people really know digital? They don't know, right? My mother perhaps can use the WhatsApp today, but she is not digital literate, right? So literacy to the extent she can use the app, but she doesn't know what's background, what's happening and all that, right? Or mobile phone. Consultants have a big role to play in digital literacy, spreading digital literacy to all the people. You know, there is going to be in AI and data analytics alone. NASSCOM has projected a requirement for 2021 or 20 around 2.6, 3 lakhs or 4 lakhs. Where are the people going to come from? From the universities they have estimated we will get about 90,000 to 1 lakh. What is going to be the shortage? 1.4 lakhs. Huge shortage. I am talking only about 2 skills. So what is it? They are not going to from the universities. So that means the existing manpower has to also get retrained. And that is lesson number 2. In this industry, your education does not finish with college. You have to continuously learn and keep updating yourself. I do that. Right? Continuous learning. Be open. So, change management, and we talk of digital literacy. So, these are the 3 areas in which it can be categorized. One is the strategy area. Strategy and planning. Corporate planning, normally what is the horizon of corporate planning? 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, long-term planning, short-term planning. You heard of those? What is long-term planning horizon? More than 5 years. Baba, after 5 years, nobody knows what will happen. We don't know what is going to happen after 2 years. So you'll have to, that's a challenge. Technology is changing so fast. As I said, the digitalization has happened in last maybe 8-10 years. Did anybody see what is going to happen in 5 years, 10 years? Where does corporate planning go? Your books are not going to help. Take my word for granted. Your books alone are not going to help. Right? So, I think the whole concept of corporate planning has to change. What kind of planning we are talking about? Are we able to forecast technology? Are we able to forecast what's going to happen? As I said, the new business models are coming. Your car competitor may be somebody who is not even born. And in fact, NASSCOM and there are already projections that maybe 30% jobs, existing jobs will go by 2030. There are new jobs, new types of jobs will come. So there has to be continuous retraining and reskilling. So these jobs are going to go because that is the way the technology is moving. Got it? So, 3 broad categories why digitalization, and that is where the consulting will help. And then there are other skills. There are job evaluation. What kind of skills are going to help in future? I refer to a few, but in the topmost comes complex problem solving, whatever it means, what it is there. Complex problem solving. Second is creativity and innovation. Third is collaboration, coordination and communication, collaboration and coordination. Because you are working as collaborative teams, you are working as virtual teams. I have worked on projects and I have successfully delivered projects, completed, customer signed off. I have never met the customer. My team members are sitting in Europe, we never met each other. Maybe we saw on video conference, we never met. So there are teams which are sitting, virtual teams, completing the projects, delivering to the customer we have never met and getting paid. Right? Collaboration, communication, because you need to communicate also. They don't want to speak English, they speak, somebody speaks French, somebody speaks German. So communication is also very important. You have to collaborate in different time zones. It's in different time zones. Huh? You are in India, he is sleeping, you are working, sleeping, but then you have to work together and deliver. So those kind of skills are going to be more relevant in future. Of course, doesn't mean that your basics have to be correct. Because once the basics are correct, the core is correct, you can build upon that. Yeah? I hope I have tried to demystify certain things, and I hope it is clear what we are talking about when we talk about digitalization. Yeah? Thank you.